welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our MLB DFS pitcher picks for Thursday, April 27th, 2017. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicholas Valinchak. I am better known as Nick from CWE on all of your favorite daily fantasy sites, and I'm here to bring you my top three pitchers on today's slate. I think this is really the first time this year where we just don't have a good slate, not in terms of the options at pitching or hitting, but just because of how the games are structured. It looks like we'll have a 6-game early slate, a 4-game late slate that starts early because Houston and Cleveland is scheduling a lot of 6-10 games, and I don't think it's just this year. I think they did this a lot last year as well, which really complicates things on a night where there's 3 games. You add this one in, it makes it a little bit more playable, but for people who are just getting off work and have a half-hour commute, it's pretty tough to get your lineups in that amount of time. So, haven't decided which route I'm going to go yet. Absolutely certain that I will not be playing tonight's slate, just because I'm far more focused on the NFL draft. One promise I made to myself this year is I would spend far more time tuned into the content of fantasy football. It's something that, for the most part, while I've done well in my leagues, football has just been a turnoff to me this past year, and I know that a lot of people might not want to admit being happy about it, but the ending of the Super Bowl kind of pulled me back in, where I was like, okay, this isn't, I know the Patriots won, and I know that it's a situation where, we want to root against the Patriots. I don't root for any team, but it was just an exciting ending to the game. It was something I really truly felt through the previous 17 weeks and maybe even a couple of years prior to that a lot of excitement had drained out of the sport, and it had just been a product that was forced out on Sundays. Well, that's what Browns fans feel like all the time. It was just something forced out on Sundays. But anyway, I digress. Might dabble in the early slate. It's a decent one. So I think we'll break it down. The way I'm going to do the picks today, typically we are looking only at the main slate. But with the main slate being so small and the early slate actually being bigger, I'll just look at the whole day slate, and I'm not going to really do like, here's a pitcher for morning, here's a pitcher for the afternoon. I'm just going to go through the 3 pitchers that I like the most tonight. I was really happy with how Hector Santiago played until it was pretty clear that he was struggling, and the Twins had no interest in getting him out of the game and putting a fresh arm in there, and then it just spiraled out of control. But I still was happy with that working out for the most part. He didn't have a bad game. Didn't have a great game because apparently he needs 30 pitches an inning to get out of it, but nonetheless, on to another one. All right. So I'm not going to look at any pitchers and cores today. That's pretty obvious. There will be some time during the year where I will, because John Gray last year, and it's 1 year of data, but John Gray is a guy who actually ended up pitching up pretty well at home. But I bring that up because I'm talking about hitter parks here. So one of the tournament options I like is Taijuan Walker tonight. It's kind of like the perfect blend of right and wrong here. The wrong, obviously, you've got a younger, unpredictable pitcher that struggled with some home run issues in the past, and that was when he was in Seattle, which is not Chase Field. Chase Field makes the home run problem more magnified. So there's a chance that he can give up, 5 or 6 runs with 3 of them being long balls. But the flip side of things is, I do believe that while inconsistent, he's a good pitcher, and if he's placing his pitches in the right spot, I think there's a good chance he can undo this San Diego Padres lineup, which, while I do think it is improved, we're still not talking anything that is extremely scary. So I expect ownership on him to be a little bit lower because of the fact that it's Chase and, lots of runs scored, whatever. But he's a guy I do like in tournaments. Moving on from there, assuming the weather holds out, because that's just been pretty bad for the most part thus far this week, with just being highly inconsistent, I feel like it's tough to not look at Carlos Martinez. Looking at everything right now, we look to be in a good spot. Does not seem as if this game is of any risk of being canceled. First off, Toronto's going to be trotting out Matt Latos in the early game. Matt Latos, not a good pitcher. Not a very good pitcher at all. Not a little bit of a good pitcher. Not a good pitcher at all. So I think the probability of a win here should be pretty high because Carlos Martinez is a good pitcher. He is an inconsistent pitcher, but he's also one of the highest strikeout pitchers on the slate. The Blue Jays seem to be turning things around a little bit, which does kind of worry me. But ultimately, I think Martinez is in a position where he could shut them down tonight. So I'd like to have some Carlos Martinez exposure. Finally, we have some pretty good aces on the mound today. I'm going to dart for Chris Sale at home against the Yankees. I know the Yankees have looked much better than we thought they would, but at the end of the day, I still far prefer the talents of Chris Sale to the young bats or the old bats of the New York Yankees, and he's a guy with a high strikeout rate, but can go deep into games. And yeah, I mean, this is just one of those situations where I want exposure to a guy who thus far this year, with his diminished strikeout rate, has 7, 10, 12, 13. I mean, his low strikeout rate last year, or low word strikeout rate last year, was something that as the season wore on, people really got into a lot because he changed his pitching style. But if he's going to go 8 innings and go for 13 strikeouts, not going to get much argument from me in terms of playing him. So once again, top 3 tournament pitching arms. We'll look at Taijuan Walker. We'll look at Carlos Martinez. We'll look at Chris Sale. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Sign up for our MLB mailing list. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.